Wicked Smart Podcast. We're going live, baby.
My point is that, like, what's interesting about this conversation in regards to, like, right now AI is that this exercise is actually wildly valuable when you're trying to do better work with AI. It's like, if I just said to my AI, hey, here's the specimen, here's the reference, here's the source file, here's the swipe from whoever, here's the swipe from Todd Brown. Well, that's great, because now we have Todd Brown's, like, he's the framework, he's the specimen, it's really clear. But is Todd Brown the best thing that I could possibly create if I had an infinite possibilities in the AI with my AI brain? No.
Most definitely.
Most definitely. Most definitely not.
Are you criticizing God's job?
So like what Rich has really pushed me to do, and I saw him push the people at his in-person Connect the Dots event this weekend, and I've seen him do it for many other people, is like, take the extra minute to stop and slow down when you're working with AI and go, okay, if Todd Brown's the guy, great. Go back to Todd Brown and figure out everything he did. But the next question is, who was this coming from? Okay, this came from Clayton Makepeace. Great. Let's go figure out everything Clayton did. Okay, now let's figure out where Clayton got it from. Maybe that was Dan Rosenthal. Okay, let's get all Dan Rosenthal. Okay, great. Who were the thinkers who came up with the things that Dan Rosenthal leveraged to get the outcomes that he got? Okay, that gets us back to Gerard. That gets us back to whoever else the deep thinkers are. And when you build this repository of knowledge from this root, from the source, it's like, you now have the entire evolution of how this thing came about, and your AI is going to function on a whole entire different level when that becomes the infrastructure underneath what you're writing, rather than just one repository of information from Todd Brown. It's like the whole entire history of that source.
Todd, you look like you want to say something, so I'll say this, and then you can take it. I was just going to say, so we'll wrap this segment, and then I think it's a perfect segue, and plus what Todd wants to say. So Donnie, you'll want to watch. I think you'll really enjoy the one that's dropping today. And just to let you know who was on there, we went back to Robert Collier, and whether or not they made the final four, that's going to be for you to listen to, and everybody to listen to if they haven't heard it. It was Robert Collier. We had the OG Dan Ogilvy. We had Eugene Schwartz. Rich, I'm going to bring on because he mentioned two names that most of us had never heard of before. And then there was Joe Sugarman. And then there was what we'll call the Minnesota crew. We had Gary Halbert, Dan Kennedy, Clayton Makepeace, Gary Benzavenga, John Carlton, and then Rich, you had two names that I was like, what? I've never even heard of those two names. What were they?
I remember one of them, Don Houtman. Don Houtman, just because he wrote a lot of things that I bought when I was younger. So when I was looking through his book of like stuff that he's written, I'm like, oh, I bought that. So he just writes to me. And I don't remember who the other one was.
Dan Rosenthal.
Dan Rosenthal. Yeah, Dan Rosenthal. Yeah. So Donnie, we'll let you hear all the insights on those and find out what the Rushmore consensus came to with that. And Todd, did you want to say something before I transition to frameworks?
I just wanted to say, I think that one of the things that I've learned from each of you guys as it relates to just AI is really what Donnie said, right? And I really learned this really very much from Rich, and then from Donnie, who really learned it from Rich, which is just, that digging, like the big difference that I see from you guys compared to everybody else that I've seen use AI. I'm talking the smart folks using AI is just the pushing to another level, the pushing the AI, the feeding the AI like deep context, like Donnie marketing OS and seeing what Tony put in that, like in the amount of swipes for big ideas, like was just incredible. It really showed me like, spending 30 minutes pushing AI is not pushing AI. Like that's, and so if at some point I'd love to just, I'd love for you guys to unpack that a little bit more, because I think that it'd be wildly valuable for everybody.
That's what I wanted to back on that just real quick, Mike, because this is probably one of the biggest changes, like in the way that I worked. And it was like, and that change made a a huge difference was that, like, when I was working on Zenith Mind, I was always in a rush with AI. I was like, trying to push it to go faster and faster, and just to get done. And then at some point in time, I realized how inefficient that was, because the more I pushed it to go faster, the more mistakes were made, and the more I had to go backwards. And that more and more, I spent more and more time slowing AI down and pushing it to think more, but not pushing it to go faster, actually pushing it to go slower. It would want to start, and I'd be like, no, you're not ready to start, right? And that one change, like not starting until I'm absolutely positive that it understands exactly what I want, what I'm trying to get to, makes it so much more like time efficient.
The wicked smart